In this video we're going to pull apart the BMS and replace the bottom PCB that will be sent out from Tony in due course. Before we start, I encourage you to look at the video I've already done. It's called Removing the Rear Battery in BMS, and also refer to Tony's video called Floatwheel Disassembling Tutorial. He covers all aspects. I'm just breaking down aspects of his tutorial into small parts and adding my own thoughts as well. Anyway, the first thing to do is to remove the 4 screws keeping the top PCB in. I'd like to note we found a use for Tony's screwdriver. It's for this Phillips head screw at the top here. Works perfectly for taking that little screw out. Now that little screw there, I would keep your eye on it and put it somewhere safe, because that, if you have to replace that, I don't know where you'd go to get it. It's a very unusual little screw. Put it on the magnetic base there. Okay, to remove now all the screws out, to remove the top PCB, we just will lift it from the end with the 2 wires, because there's pins here that unplug and just falls out. The next step is to remove this blue thermal pad here. So just pry it up, try to keep it in one piece, which is not easy. So I'll use a blade and push in under. I'll just use a plastic blade to try and lift it up so we don't damage anything poking in around. Try and keep that in shape. Okay, the next thing to do is to remove these 4 brass screws. Now there's a special tool coming, but also a 4.5mm open end spanner works perfectly on these. So I remove all those. All 4 screws are removed. So now it's a matter of grabbing the end of 2 wires, this other end, and lift that PCB out. Just comes out neatly. Careful not to rip the thermal pad at the other end. Just wanting to stick to it. There we go. Next thing is to remove this piece of thermal pad here. Can use a knife apparently. Just cut that off, that's very easy. So now we discard this and put the replacement in. So we just basically retrace our steps, put the pad on there. Line our holes up and put these back in. Now, in Tony's video, he was concerned about us losing these flat washers. They're a 3mm flat washer. So concerned he was...
Do not fuck this up, okay? If you don't put this washer here, it's gonna result in your upper half of the BMS bending a little bit.
And his concern, he said, was that he was concerned that without it, the PCB would bow when we screwed them down. I was sort of surprised by that, because when the brand new BMS comes, it actually has a bend in it. So I don't know if you can see that there, but it's got a woof up in the middle. Well, that's with another washer in it. It's quite visibly quite straight now. It's not nowhere near the bend in it that it has as standard. So since he's swearing about it, it's obviously a concern, and by rights the PCB should be flat. So I think another washer is a good idea. but it's not the end of the world either. So don't worry too much about it. If you just want to be a little bit of a perfectionist, another washer wouldn't do any harm. I'm going to do it to this one before I put it all back together. We've put 2 washers under each brass standoff. So now when we replace the pad, thermal pad, we're going to squeeze it up a little bit so that it can take up the extra space. So we'll sit that in place. So again, line up the bolt holes and the pins into the plug underneath. Once they're lined up, just press them home. And on this other end, squeeze this into the thermal pad material. So we've got good contact. Now put your screws in. Remember, the little Phillips head goes up in this corner next to the plug here. I just want to show you here now comparison. I've replaced with another washer on the top PCB of the BMS, and you can see there now that it is much straighter than it was originally with just the one washer. Thing to note is that we're running out of space here. We've got a millimetre, probably more there, but it is a bit closer at the top. So that's one disadvantage of it's just a bit of a closer fit. You just got to be a bit more careful when you put it together. I've only done it just to get the PCB flat, just perhaps a bit anal, but it's not going to make any difference if yours has got a bow in it. If Tony's happy with what he's got, that's fine, but it seemed to be some sort of a concern to him, so it is achievable to get a flat PCB if you want one. Okay, that's it. If you found this video to be of help, please subscribe and check out the other videos that I've done, and keep on float wheeling.